Hey everyone, so this week's discussion was on teachers as agents of change, and I understood this concept a little bit better when I took a look at the mindset first. And so in the Aspire module, it said that change agents, they believe that teachers in schools can either reproduce or challenge social inequities. They also think that good teaching can help students develop those skills needed um, for challenge inequity as well. And one of the biggest things that hit home for me was that it's their job to make curriculum responsive to the teacher to the students and not the other way around. This was also supported when we saw that video that was in the class lecture, the TED Talk, saying that it's better to dive deeper into a subject and let students learn than to have them regurgitate all this information and try to teach all the standards. The role of a change agent is to seek um, and address those inequities that are caused by racism and classism. It's also, it also means to be a culturally responsive teacher. And so there's three parts to that. There's the content, that's what we teach, that it needs to be relevant, it needs to be rooted and meaningful to the students' lives. And whenever you have that, students believe that, that they can connect to it, that they will be more engaged and more learning will happen. The second part to that is the methods and how we teach the content. So one of the examples that I really liked in the Inspire module was a math teacher. They had gone through a couple of different ways to solve an equation and then let the students decide which one was the easiest for them or which one they thought was more efficient, and that's the one that they would use. Now, that's a great way to involve students in the construction of knowledge. So it's a great method. Another part is the relationship part. So having empathy with students' families and with them as well, and understanding their concerns and being able to connect with their parents and just so we can find out what supports that they need so they could be successful in our classroom. And that brings us to the third part of this assignment, and that's talking about the impact and the partnership between home and school. And I read this really nice article online from Reading Rockets, and it was saying that everybody benefits in whenever teachers have these partnerships, especially like parents, they can get ideas on how to help their kids at home, or they can understand what their kids are learning. And the most important part is that they develop an appreciation for education, and they will place a greater value on it as well. And students also benefit from this because their motivation is increased, and they behave better in class. Their attendance is a lot better, and they also develop a positive attitude towards learning. For teachers, it's really important because you learn more about the students' needs and how you can help them. You also learn about their home environment, but the most important thing is that you use the information to fuel your culturally responsive teaching. Um, the fourth part of this discussion was to apply is how can you apply those strategies to build a partnership at school and home. And so one thing that was really interesting was that it said have expectations early on what the partnership is going to look like. So for example, what kind of assistance will the teacher need from the parents? Make sure that that's clear early on, and explain to parents the best forms of communicating with you, and get the best forms of communicating with parents. Another thing is communicate regularly, so it has to be frequent communication, so that it's not something that becomes a task. It's something that that is needed in your classroom. And one of the most important things also is collaborate together. I found that really interesting, and I found an article that shared a parent's experience, which they talked about how a teacher had shared a Pinterest account with every parent, and so that way they were able to see what kind of projects she was planning, or what kind of materials they were going to need in a project that was going to come up at school. And I just felt like that made a really big impact in their relationship, and I just felt like it was a great example.